Hola amigos y amigas, bienvenidos, welcome to your video tutorial of the week. I hope you have been having an amazing time learning with us. Today we're going to be studying about voz pasiva, passive voice, and a kind of impersonal construction, alright? This is a sort of language and construction that is very commonly used in the headlines and the news, which is the topic you will be studying next week. So it's a very appropriate time to see this structure. It is not exclusive to the register of the language, but again, there is where it's more used, as it is not a kind of construction that we use a lot when we're speaking, but it's important because it's very present in the language. The news are, for most of us, an everyday sort of input, and so it's important to recognize the construction, produce it, and maybe this will be the beginning of your journalist career in Spanish, alright? Let's look at here, we're going to be starting with the pronombre se, alright? The pronoun se is not something new for you. You have seen it at the very beginning of your Spanish education with the reflexive verbs. You have here like ducharse, and then with pronominal verbs, which was, remember, when having the little particle se at the end of the verb or not having it, changes completely the meaning of the verb. The typical case, ir to go, irse to leave, alright? So going back to se, we're going to see it here. Let's look at it in the construction of the voz pasiva, passive voice. So it's very easy how we build this. We start with se, and then we have the verb in the third person, either singular or plural. I'm going to put 3 examples here. Probably things you have seen traveling or reading the news yourself. You will have seen constructions like this. So you have se vende casa, se venden casas, se vendieron casas, alright? So the translation could be house on sale, houses were sold, alright? Or even, we sell houses, we sold houses, alright? Again, we don't have the we here because this is transferring impersonality, passivity in this sort of construction, so we wouldn't have the nosotros. But the English translation has many variables. You will have fun discussing that in class next week. What do you think is most appropriate as a translation? But again, in Spanish, very important, we don't have a subject here. We just have an object, in this case casas, which is the most important thing in all these 3 constructions we will study today. It is not about what the subject is doing, but what is happening to the object, alright? And that one, the object, is the one defining what sort of verb we use in each of the occasions, okay? So here, our object, our noun is casa or casas. This is singular, so this is singular, plural, alright? So that's that for that one. We're going to see the se with impersonal constructions, which, to be honest with you, they're pretty much the same. The only difference with this construction, well, there's 2 differences, is that the se is also followed by the verb, but in third person singular, not in third person plural. So, and that also, what follows the construction of se plus the verb is not a noun, like in this case, but it can be anything by a noun, a person, a verb, an adverb, okay? So that's the main difference, but in terms of the meaning, what they're conveying is pretty much the same thing. So we have examples here: se estudia mejor a solas, se sabe que es bueno estudiar, se entrevistó a los candidatos, alright? One important thing here is that when this construction is followed by people, in this case, los candidatos, there always has to be an a before the people we are referring to, okay? So again, we don't have any nouns following the structure, and all the verbs are in singular. Translation-wise, again, different options are here. Se estudia mejor a solas, it can be one studies alone better, it is better to study alone, or even we study alone better, alright? Again, have a bit of a debate next week with what would be the best translation for this and this. We're going to go now to voz pasiva. This one is the one that is pretty much copy-paste translation-wise from the Spanish to the English. How we build it is different. We don't have the pronoun se here, but we have the verb ser in any tense plus the participle, alright, which is ado or ido. The important thing here in terms of the participle is that it will react to gender and number. Why? Because it is a noun we're referring to, that we're going to see here. Again, casas, casa, auto. That is the part that is defining how the verb will appear. Remember, not the subject. So you know nouns react to gender and number. Alright? That's very simple. Let's look at 3 examples here. Las casas han sido vendidas. La casa fue vendida. El auto será vendido. So, pretérito perfecto, pretérito indefinido, futuro. Alright? And again, plural feminine, singular feminine, singular masculine. Alright? So, the translation, as I said, this is the most direct one. The houses have been sold. The house was sold. The car will be sold. Alright? So that's very, very simple. Let's look at this voz pasiva in contrast with what we will call the voz activa. What means voz activa? Here again, we don't really know who did the action of selling the houses. That is not important. The important thing is that houses were, have been, or will be sold. Okay? In the voz activa, the importance is the subject, not the object of the sentence. Alright? So let's look again with the houses topic. El agente vendió la casa, las casas, o el auto. Alright? El agente is the subject that is doing the sentence. So it's obviously creating this verb looking like vendió, or it can be vende or venderá. Alright? So we don't have here again a person doing the action. Here we have it, and it's the most important thing of this construction over here. So one little postdata, thing interesting is I like writing fiction, and when I've been taking creative writing workshops, one of the most important things they tell you as feedback is avoid the passive voice or avoid impersonal constructions, because obviously when you're reading fiction, you want to create a very vivid, feeling and a very, graphic. So obviously, but using these constructions, you create a detachment. There's no one doing the action, so it's a little bit like seeing the events happening, but with some sort of like distance and a cold spirit, which obviously it's something very used for the news. Because it's a more formal kind of presenting information, and it could also be a more partial way of conveying, events. Alright? So have fun next class, and keep enjoying learning this language. Ciao, ciao!